All right. Let's talk about valves, and specifically, right, they're primarily the two most common valves you're going to come across are the ones that are pinned, the ones that go on to a center shaft, so to speak, and then the other ones that um, are like a round wooden disc attached to a fluted stem. So let's do this one first, and you'll see this one came out of the standard. It has the original one on here. Well, I say original because this was already restored at one time. And you'll see that it does have a little bit of wobble in this. So that if there's any sort of misalignment, hopefully this will take up for it and compensate for it. So I've already taken the one that I'm gonna show you. There are two collars that are going to be on these usually. Sometimes it's at least three, but sometimes there's four. But I've already taken the upper two off. So this was a spacer. It's probably very porous. This comes off. This is the backing plate. Here is the valve leather itself, which was a patent sort of leather that they replaced this with. And then you have the closest plate and a spacer there also. So let me show you. I'm going to use, because I've seen a couple of people, recommend this. This is silicone. It's not silicone. It's not silicone sponge. This is silicone, and it comes in a sheet form. This is a Schedule 50. It's about, a 1/16 of an inch thick. You can punch it out just like you would any other type. So I've already punched them out, and I punched a center hole in this one. So what do? Well, the first thing is a spacer, which again, you make these. You punch them out. You punch a little hole in the middle of it, and you have a spacer. That goes on. Now that is actually hugging this stem. It's not loose at all. It's hugging it. So you're going to have a certain amount of prevention against leakage right there. Then comes the closest plate. Goes on here. Now remember, this is sealed. It's now sealing against this plate. The valve goes on. Look how it's wow, that's pretty well centered. Can you see it? That's pretty well centered. Now the backing plate comes on. And now a final securing punching. Now all of that, the silicone, the plates, everything, is going to help prevent seepage through this valve. The most important part in the valve system, any valve, whether it be just a single valve system or a double valve system, the most important part of the valve is going to be the part that faces the vacuum chamber. Because if it leaks, it can leak the whole time, the entire time that it's there. All right, these are available from John Tuttle. Let me pick this up and put it on my finger so hopefully you can see. Yes, the dogs are going crazy today. That's a force fit collar. All right. Now I'm going to take this force fit collar, put it over here on this little press that I got from Harbor Freight, and I'm going to take the end of this little pin, put it through the center hole. I have a hole that I drilled in this. I'm very careful when I do this. Now it's going down. Can you get a close up of this area right here? Is that all right? Is that okay? Yeah. All right. I'm going to go down till I see those things close up a little bit. Going down. Now they just started to close. Just started. And I'm going to take it off and I'm going to look at it. Well, that is way too much. You can see there's a gap. That's way too much. So I put it back in. I take this. I press it a little bit more. Now, there are elaborate ways of doing this where you drill these holes a certain depth and everything and use it as a stop. That's fine. I don't mind sitting and carefully doing this. It doesn't bug me. I mean, what else am I going to do except make money? Now, look, here's our stem. Here's a certain amount of wobble. Here's the initial collar. You never remove the collar closest to the threaded section. Don't remove it. Closest to the vacuum, you do not remove the collar. That collar seals against this silicone sheet. The silicone sheet hugs the stem. It seals against this first plate. The first plate seals against the silicone sheet, which seals against this stem also. It seals against this backing plate, against another piece of silicone, and against this final force fit collar. And that is putting it, together. I may want to compress this just a little bit more. Overuse, it is going to loosen up a little bit as far as the spacing. So I think I've got it. Now, you're going to need another force fit collar on here. So I take another one of the little ones, put it over here, carefully put this pin over it, bring this down as close to accurate as I can be, and then press it down. And again, other people have come up with these brilliant ways of adjusting it and everything. I go for a general position. So I'm going to stop right about there. That's a general position. I know right now it's going to be too thin. There's not going to be enough gap. Because the silicone sheet is thicker than the original leather. So these two collars are going to have to be closer to each other. Let me go one more time. All right. So there you go. Here is the outside part of the valve. Right here. It is nothing but a piece of fiber, gray fiber, which I got from John Tuttle, Player Care. Right? It's fiber. 3/4 of an inch in diameter, I believe. Onto which I glued a piece of suede leather. Suede leather. And I am now going to take the smallest punch on my center punch. I'm going to put it through this little bit of a hole and give it a squeeze. Turn it, pull it off, and there it is. It's now centered on that valve. It needs another spacer, so to speak, which again, it's going to seal, and this valve is going to go out there. So there it is. You can already tell that this doesn't protrude enough. So I already know that I'm going to have to move that piece closer. Now, how do I adjust the final position of this? Well, like I said, there's a couple of schools on how to do this to get the correct movement. You want to shoot for basically 35 thousandths up to about 40 thousandths, but closer to 35. I go by this old school of using a pair of modified water pump pliers. And if I have to move it either way, if I need to move it down to get more gap out of it, I press it and I feel it. If it's too gappy and I need it to be closer, then I go to this upper setting and I put it underneath the valve and move up. So I use this to do the final adjustments. So there you have it. That's the standard. It'll work on a standard. It'll work on some auto pianos. It'll work on Beckwiths. So this is not really that scary a valve to deal with. You just have to remember, never remove the collar that faces the vacuum, that has, threaded section for a lifter button. Don't remove that one. Put this in, usually inside a vise that's lined with little wooden strips so as not to distort these threads. And then pull these collars off. All right? There you have it. Fix it and go back into the action.